If I get
As long as you
demonetized, I get
full
demonetized.
footage of the NFL, you won't get copyrighted.
Yeah, the edits I'm gonna do are gonna be like probably my own things like I did with the
Just
verses,
like
but
just like with pictures and everything. Like first up, we got Pat Mahomes, and it shows a picture.
yeah. If I was better at drawing, I would just customize everything, but I'm not.
I'm decent, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not good at drawing humans. I can draw Pokemon, but I can't draw humans. So,
Okay, that's a okay. Never mind.
exactly. Yep, see? All right.
That's,
I started like 40 seconds ago, so we're good. So, hey y'all, how's it going? I am Joy. That is SDS, right?
close enough.
Go ahead. Introduce yourself.
I'm a. I don't know. I don't even know how to introduce myself. I came with her with this idea. She thought it was good, so we're just recording it, I guess.
Yeah, it was really kind of like just done on the fly. He just said, hey, I have a good idea for a video. I thought he meant his video because I edited a reaction thing for him, so I thought he was going to do it with a friend, but turns out I'm here. So,
Nah, none of my friends know shit about. Sorry, 1 minute.
it's fine. I'm at like a minute 25. We're okay.
All right. My friends don't know shit about the NFL in general. The only one that does know is named Cade, and he only got into it because I took him to the Super Bowl in February. So
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah,
like
I
that's the
don't.
only reason why he do it. And now he's bandwagoning on my team.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I don't have a lot of people in the community that I discuss NFL with. I've got you, I've got Troll, and I've got John. That's pretty much it. Nobody else really. Well, there's Roll, but he's not really active in my Discord. But so anyway, what are we doing? It was your idea, so I'll let you introduce it.
We're doing Hall of Fame or not. Active or retired NFL players. And we discuss whether they're going to be in the Hall of Fame or not. Like,
Yeah, whether we think that
for
they
example,
deserve to go in.
yeah, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, Lamar Jackson, he's already going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's
Blah.
downgraded Michael Vick. It ain't happening." Um, just, just that's just an example. Like,
He's an
just
RG3 that could actually stay healthy.
he's an RG3,
Yeah,
exactly.
he's an
He's already
RG3 with a good knee.
yes. I mean, they got RG3 on that roster, so like
Didn't
just
he?
in case.
Yeah, exactly. So it's literally the exact same plan, regardless. But didn't he?
Exactly.
Didn't he
Christian
leave? RG3. I thought he was like retiring or something, because nobody would sign him.
I think he's still with the Baltimore Ravens. I think.
Hmm. I
I
mean,
don't
I hope
think.
so. I hope he still has a job. But I thought that he was gonna like go do color commentary for college or something.
The Redskins ruined him. I'll get that out of the way. The Redskins ruined him.
Yes, I will completely agree with that.
Schneider, you. Okay, moving on.
Beep.
Just as soon as I get into one, I have to just hear one long censored.
Yeah, I'll just use Dino and just let him squawk over you. It's fine.
All right, we got an entire list compiled of players that we think should or shouldn't get in the Hall of Fame. Plus, we both got one that we personally think from our team should be
Mm-hmm.
in the Hall of Fame someday.
I technically have two, but my team is apparently so bad that I need the extra boost.
I gave you that handicap.
Thank you. Yeah, much necessary.
Hey, she's a Lions fan. The last
Yeah,
good player to out in the Hall of Fame, so she can't talk about Calvin Johnson.
which I wouldn't have anyway. I'm still kind of sour about him. But
Blame him for leaving. You jacked up the man.
look, I'm not blaming him for wanting to leave. I'm just blaming him for how he's handling it post. Like Barry Sanders handled it with grace, and he's back with the organization. Calvin Johnson is handling it like the diva that he is, and it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. That's all I can say. He just lacks grace.
All right. So let's just start on this list, shall we?
Yeah.
So
Who's up
all
first?
right, up first, we got the LeBron James of the NFL right now, Patrick Mahomes. I don't have a Hall of Fame comparison for him, but he's been in the league 4 years. He already has one MVP for both the Super Bowl and regular season. He has 1 Super Bowl win in 2 Super Bowl appearances. What did it look like stat-wise for him?
So far, his career stats are a 66% completion rating with 14,000 yards, a little over 14,000 yards, 114 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, and an overall QB rating on average of 108.7. So not too bad so far in his young career.
I mean, so far, 4 years, most quarterbacks are out of the NFL in 4 years that are not first-round picks.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll
first off, that's
I mean, we just talked about RG3, so good comparison. I said we just talked about RG3, so that's a good comparison on like how careers can end really early or flourish like Mahomes has.
That knee injury he had in 2019, he would have been out of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you got to give where credit's due. In 5 years, he's already transformed how the league plays. You know, all the defensive schemes now are about containing players like him. The strong arm, the gutsiness. They got all the weapons they need, and Patrick Mahomes can just do anything he wants because from Chris Godwin during the Super Bowl, he is a magician.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, even when he's smacked, he still makes magic happen.
He's the only reason that game was even remotely entertaining.
Watchable.
Yeah, watchable. He made the best out of a really, really bad situation facing the Bucs. So
he escaped a sack from Shaquille Barrett and dive throws on his side.
Yes, I don't know how he did that. I still remember that play. That was amazing.
Also, I've also haven't given him any credit for being mobile. I thought he was just like a strong arm pocket passer. I didn't give him credit for being mobile. It wasn't until last year's Super Bowl when I went, okay, he can move.
Oh yeah, he's fairly elusive. He's not like, and the problem with that is that he does throw more, like we mentioned with Lamar Jackson. So Patrick Mahomes isn't going to run first and then throw if there happens to be somebody wide open. But he is able to, evade some tackles and some sacks when he needs to, make plays on his own if there's no one open. So he's fairly well-rounded, I would say.
He is very well-rounded. As for whether he belongs in the Hall of Fame or not yet. Give him 5 more years. If he keeps doing like this, where he's practically in the Super Bowl conversation, MVP conversation every year, keep him like that, and if he wins a couple more games, he'll be in the Hall of Fame. But not yet. He's still too young to be considered a Hall of Famer, even though he has had so much success already.
Yeah, honestly, he's still way too early on in his career to say for sure, but I can definitely see the track where he will be first ballot. If, I think, barring injury or the next coach completely ruining him. Because right now I do think that you can credit most of his successes to Andy Reid.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing, this is just going to be a personal rant, but to all the people saying he's already a GOAT, he is barely in his career. He's not the greatest of all time yet. The greatest of all time just won a Super Bowl and he's going for his 8th. He's the greatest of all time right now. Until he or Mahomes eclipses him in that span of time, then he'll be the GOAT. Right now, he's not the GOAT. He's the best in the game right now, but he's not the GOAT.
Yeah, I don't really think that anybody that's playing today would be the greatest of all time. I would say that I agree with Brady when he says that he himself is the most accomplished of all time, but not the greatest, because the greatest is relative. Like, what if your style of play is not his? So being labeled the GOAT is a relative term. So I hate that being placed on people undeservingly.
Yeah. Also, just a disclaimer, the reason why we don't have people like Drew Brees or Tom Brady on this list is because those guys are sure to go and be making it whenever they retire. This list is just going to be of players who may or may not make it. They got a 50-50 chance of those below.
Well, because there's nothing to debate with somebody like Brady, because he's, he could retire tomorrow and he'll go in as soon as he's eligible. So
he could have the worst. He could throw 50 picks next year, with no touchdown, and he'd still get in the Hall of Fame.
Yes, because of his track record up to this point. So it really doesn't matter how his career ends. Fact is, he's going in regardless. I mean, that's what's going to happen with Drew Brees. Last season wasn't his greatest, but he's got the yardage and the stats to back it up.
Exactly, which is why we're not doing players like that in this list. Because they're locks. There's nothing to discuss, as you said.
Yeah.
All right. Up next, we got big old Ben Roethlisberger.
God, I don't like him. I don't like Big Ben as a player.
Hold on. I was about to say, as a player, recently each. All right.
I mean,
he's been in the league 15 years. He has no MVPs, no Super Bowl MVPs, but he has 2 Super Bowl wins and 3 Super Bowl appearances.
But
he's led in offensive yards twice. He was the Offensive Rookie of the Year in his draft class. He had 7 Pro Bowls, 7th all-time passing yards, and 7th or 8th all-time passing touchdowns.
Which is not a bad list. That's pretty decent accomplishments. For me, though, I always have a hard time crediting Super Bowl wins and appearances to, the QB stats, because it's a team thing. And I think that their defense is what got them there. So
whenever I put all that together, I was like thinking, okay, this is how many things they have as an individual player, not because of them.
Yeah.
Anyways, what's it look like stat-wise for him? I just gave all the list of accolades. What's it look like stat-wise?
For me, a little bit worse than we just talked about with the young gun. His career stats are 64.4% completion, just over 60,000 total yards, 396 TDs, with 201 interceptions, and an overall rating of 94.
Huh.
So comparable to a young guy, not the greatest. But
comparable to the youngest guy, one of the youngest quarterbacks, and yet one of the most youngest accomplished quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, I do see a little similarity. Because in his second year in the league, as a starter, both Ben Roethlisberger and Patrick Mahomes made it to a Super Bowl and won.
Mm-hmm.
In their second years as starters, they made it to the Super Bowl and won. That's a similarity I see.
Yeah. That's a decent comparison, but I mean, of the two, I would still prefer, I guess, Mahomes, just because he seems a lot more versatile.
Mahomes right now. We see what happens to that Steelers offense whenever Roethlisberger is not healthy. The entire thing just crumbles.
Oh, yeah, I will agree with that for sure. That's what happened, I think, two years ago?
Not watching versus the Browns.
Oh, my God, don't remind me. I hate the Browns. I hate it. I hate that whole season. I was upset because I don't like Baker.
I love the Browns in that playoff game because the Steelers were acting like complete douchebags. Specifically, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. I like the team of the Browns. I just wish that they had a different quarterback. Because
what's wrong with Baker?
I don't like Baker. I've never liked Baker. He just rubs me the wrong way. I just don't like him.
Are you that offended that he planted the Oklahoma flag at Ohio State?
No, I don't care about college. There's just I don't know. There's just something about his overall demeanor that bothers me.
I mean, he has an ego, yes, but the ego is because he loves the game.
That's fair. I will admit that I was wrong early on because he reminded me a lot of Johnny Football with his attitude, and
Let's say
he's a lot better. So.
Okay, we got off topic.
We did. I'm sorry. This happens all the time.
I know.
So anyway, what do you think about Ben? Do you think I think he's going to get in? I don't know if his stats would warrant it, but I think he'll get in.
To me, the one comparison from the Hall of Fame I can pull out of there was Johnny Unitas, from the passing standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
From a passing standpoint, they're very similar. And Roethlisberger's actually ahead on that list in front of Johnny U.
Okay. Well, so based on that logic.
but not based on the logic, but it's just a comparison.
Mhm.
Like the next guy we have on this list, there's going to be a hell of a lot more comparisons, but that's just the one I can think of right now.
Yeah.
And as for Big Ben making the Hall of Fame, I do think he makes it in, but it won't be like it'll be like very poor class. Like when there's not a whole lot of talent to pull out of, like it's like how Rondé Barber's going to get into the Hall of Fame. Like he's in like the conversation each year, and he makes it past the 2 first votes, but then the stronger candidates overtake it.
Yeah,
And,
I'll agree with you. He's going to need a weak class to actually make it.
Yeah.
Speaking of being in a weak class.
Okay, next on this list, my favorite guy of them all on this list.
Yeah.
Ryan Magic Patrick. 16 years in the league. No real accolades as far as playoff success and MVPs. But he's 34th all-time passing in touchdowns, 30th all-time in passing yards. But again, he has 0 accolades in Pro Bowl, and he's probably one of the only quarterbacks left that's never made it to a Super Bowl that has more passing yards than anybody else.
Yeah. This I love this journeyman edition.
I know.
I like him.
I love for what he did in Tampa in 2018. He got us the best start that we had in a while, but then it kind of Dirk Cutter kind of dragged it all down and kind of made Fitzpatrick worse as the year went on. So, I mean, for what he did, I can name off several plays right now that would be a very good, memorable play for him.
Yeah.
The no-look pass down the lane in the Raiders game he had this year. The first 2 weeks of the 2018 season, knocking the Patriots out of the playoff or the bye week in the playoff. All those are very great, memorable moments for him. Don't you agree?
Yeah. I think he's had a decent career with a few good highlights. The only problem here is he's going to need even weaker class than Ben to get in based on how they usually classify things. Like, success usually has to come with a Super Bowl, right? So...
Yeah, hold on. Take a look at his stats. Very comparable stats to Ben Roethlisberger, I think.
Yeah, he's got 60.7% completion, almost 35,000 yards, 223 touchdowns to 169 interceptions, and an overall rating of 82.3.
So in some ways, better than Roethlisberger.
Yeah, exactly. In some regards, kind of better.
All right. As for Hall of Fame comparison, I got Kurt Warner.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I'll say Kurt Warner was also a journeyman quarterback, from what I know. He spent time in Green Bay, went up to the CFL, then to St. Louis, then the Giants and the Cardinals. That's 5 teams. And once you play for 5 teams, you're considered a journeyman at that point.
Right.
Ow. Okay, shoot. I was choking on something, sorry.
You're good. Don't die.
I'm fine.
I can't upload this if you do.
I'll die if he makes the Hall of Fame. That's when I'll die. All right, anyways. He also has better stats than Kurt Warner. I mean, I've done this myself. I've looked at this myself. He has more more touchdowns.
Touching passes.
Touching passes. He has more passing touchdowns than Kurt Warner. He has better rushing stats than Kurt Warner. He has less interceptions than Kurt Warner. He has a better completion percentage than Kurt Warner. But the problem is, again, Kurt Warner was a 2-time MVP and a Super Bowl champion.
Yep.
He made the Pro Bowl for 4 years straight. The problem with Fitzpatrick is that he has nothing other than Ivy League Player of the Year, which he won in college.
Right, but I mean, honestly, though, again, that's Ivy League. It's not really a football mindset.
That's an FCS league, and they only play 10 games.
Yeah. Man,
As for
good.
As for being in Who's going first?
Go ahead.
As for his Hall of Fame candidacy or not, I wish, for all he's done for my team and pretty much for the 8 teams he's been with, I wish he'll be in the Hall of Fame, but it's not going to happen. As much of a character and a good character he is in the NFL, I wish it will happen, but it won't happen.
Yeah, I agree. I think he should just because of his stats, and I hate the fact that we're in this mindset of you need to have a Super Bowl ring to be considered a good player. But
I mean, Warren Moon and Dan Fouts, they never won a Super Bowl ring, but I think they're both in the Hall of Fame.
Which is strange then. So, like, I feel like Fitzpatrick is going to get snubbed, but he shouldn't. Like, his stats line up so well. And he's very consistent. Like, this last year, when their rookie came in and got himself in trouble, who was there to bail him out? Mr. Consistent. Exactly. So, he's always steady. He's always a good one to have around. So, I think that he should go in. But
great to have around. He's great to have around, but he's not going to be your starter long term. Buffalo learned that the hard way.
He's a Hall of Fame stopgap.
Yes.
Pretty much.
That's basically it.
Yeah, which he should have been the stopgap in New England. Dad and I were talking about that the other day. Rather than signing Cam Newton, who's a completely different play style than you're used to running, why not have signed Fitzpatrick, draft somebody, and roll with that?
I mean, they got one half of the equation. They drafted somebody.
Yeah, but you missed out.
Quarterback right now.
Oh my God!
As your starter.
Ugh.
I mean, Pamela Newton is not going to win you any more games than Rex Grossman at this point. So.
And that's saying something.
And yes, you know why.
All right, so we're in agreement. we're in agreement on all that. Moving on before we offend anybody else.
Medea. Like in half of his post game outfits, he looks like a character from Medea. Huh. All right. Shall we move on?
Yes, please.
All right. Next on this list, we got Russell Wilson. He's been in the league 9 years, no MVPs and no Super Bowl MVPs, but he has 1 Super Bowl and 2 Super Bowl appearances. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler. He was a passing touchdowns leader for a year. He's widely regarded as one of the most great dual threat QBs that's ever come out of the NFL since Michael Vick. But what does his stats say?
His current stats are 65.1 in completion, just under 34,000 yards, which is crazy good. I didn't know it was that high already. 267, lost my place. 267 touchdowns to 81 interceptions, so that's very good, with an overall rating of 101.7.
All right, that's not that bad.
Nah, I'm surprised.
I mean, if Russell Wilson were to retire now, the one thing you remember is passing the ball at the 1-yard line in Super Bowl 49. If his career ended right now, that's the one play everybody will remember about.
Which is sad, because that completely diminishes all of his other accomplishments, because we're just like, why didn't you trust the run? But at the same time, that's kind of on coach. So I don't feel right putting that blame on the QB.
I mean, I'm one for conspiracy theories, and we're going to talk about him later on in the thing, but the theory is that they didn't want Marshawn Lynch to get Super Bowl MVP.
I don't understand why that would be a concern. I mean, he would have deserved it for that. Did you watch the game? He was a beast.
I know. That's why it's the theory. They didn't want him to get Super Bowl MVP. They wanted Russell Wilson to get it.
Oh, shiitake.
It's a conspiracy theory. Okay, give me a break. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I love conspiracy.
I hate them.
Suffer. Okay, so Anyways, he's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks we've seen in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Drafted out of the round, nobody actually gave him any credit. They thought Matt Hasselbeck was just going to take the job, and then he'll continue on starting for the Seahawks. But he retired that year, I think. So Russell Wilson was
so, yeah.
the starting role, and look what's been happening. He's already won 1 Super Bowl. He's had 2 Super Bowl appearances. Every year at the beginning, he's considered an MVP candidate until he falls off a cliff.
Until he gets knocked off the cliff because they don't have an O-line. If they would protect him a little bit, he'd be in a much better position and be a legitimate MVP candidate every year.
Valid point. I mean, I don't know any dual threat quarterbacks that are in the Hall of Fame, so that might be a first. I think Warren Moon was a dual threat quarterback, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm not positive. My NFL history is my
Mine's
childhood.
a little rusty.
Yeah.
As far as historic stuff, I'm hit or miss.
Yeah, I'm the same. I know like some obvious stuff that you should know if you're a sports fan, but I'm not the statistician of my friend group. That would be John.
All right. Anyways, in about 9 years, he's done all that. What do you think his Hall of Fame candidacy is right now? If he were to retire today, would he be a Hall of Famer?
Ooh, if he retired today, I don't think he has the yards. But
I mean,
for 9 years. I mean, maybe, because he is one of the most accomplished Seahawks in general. So I could see him going in as a Seahawk in a few years after retiring. But for me, I think he would want to boost his stats a little bit more. Plus, I do like one-team quarterbacks. So the fact that he's been with Seattle since he was drafted is helpful.
Even though the trade rumors were flying around earlier.
Yeah, but they didn't actually happen. So, for now.
Okay. I don't think he'll make the Hall of Fame if he retired today. He's got to have at least 5 or 6 more years under his belt, and he has to be consistent. He can't have these, by week 8, he's fallen off a cliff. He can't have, like, those things keep happening to him. Mm-hmm. If he does, it's going to stop his, it's really going to hurt him in the long run if that keeps happening. Whether it's the O-line's fault or not, if it keeps going on like that, it's going to screw his candidacy up.
Yeah, which is probably why he wanted, or while it was rumored that he wanted to leave, because they're not helping his case any. So for his own career, he wants to go somewhere else.
He is a key factor in whether you're going in the Hall of Fame or not, because if you had a great career, you're a great running back, you have 1,000-yard seasons, but it was only for 4 years, you're not getting in the Hall.
Yeah.
Like, longevity is a key factor in getting in.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, I think you at least have to have a double-digit career as far as your duration goes.
So, as for right now, actually, no. That's your preference. Calvin Johnson got the Hall of Fame after 9 seasons. So I guess around that time would be good.
I mean, I guess, but per our conversation earlier, I'm kind of against him anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Up next, we got our first retired player. Oh, good old PHILLIPRIVERS. We all know him.
I love PHILLIPRIVERS.
All right, he's been in the league for 17 seasons, but he has no accolades. He has no MVPs, no Super Bowl MVPs, 0 Super Bowl appearances, and 0 Super Bowls. He was a 9-time Pro Bowler. He was an NFL passing touchdown leader. He was an NFL passing leader. He's 5th all-time passing, 5th all-time in touchdowns, and he was the comeback player of the year in 2008 or 9. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. What's it look like stat-wise?
Just under 65% completion, 63,000 total yards with 421. Of course, he had to get the extra one. Touchdowns to 209 interceptions and 95.2 for a QB rating. I think that
Hold on, go back. Hold on. The touchdown interception ratio. What was it?
It's 421 to 209.
Oh, I thought you said 221 to 209. I was like, what the hell?
No. I said 421. Of course, he had to get the extra one.
Oh, okay. So,
'Cause
kind of interesting here.
yeah, I think that he should go, but
Hall of Fame comparison, I got Dan Marino. The only difference is that Dan Marino got an MVP once,
mm-hmm.
and he made it to a Super Bowl a couple times. He just never won it.
Right. That's a good comparison. I like that one. The team that Phillip Rivers was on for most of his career hampered him a little bit because the division was so strong. But
I mean, he's only made it to the championship game with that team once.
Yeah, he played with LT, right?
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah. Who's in? So
stat. Hold on. This is an amazing stat. Hold on. In 1 year, the Chargers had the number one offense, the number one defense, and they still missed the playoffs.
Which is crazy to me. I don't know how you can be that powerful of a team and not make it in.
Special team. That was their Achilles heel.
Oh, yeah.
That's what killed special team.
Mm.
It's not any of Rivers' fault that he ended up being like he was. No Super Bowls, that's not his fault. That's on the organization in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
he was definitely competent enough to get them there. They just didn't. I don't know. There was something going off there, which is weird. Like I like Norv Turner. I loved LT. So they had all the good pieces around him. They just couldn't knock that door down.
I mean, it's what happened in Indianapolis this year. Especially in the playoffs. They're a solid team, just failed to execute when it mattered.
Yeah, now in a way that's kind of a pattern following him as well. So I don't really want to give him the blame on that, but the fact that the same thing happened on two different teams.
I know, it's like he's the curse.
Yeah, right. Which is really sad because he's not. He's a competent QB. He just can't, for some reason, get over that hump, and it's sad.
All right. As for whether he makes the Hall of Fame or not, I can see it happening, but he's not going to be first ballot.
Oh no.
He's not going to be first ballot. Like, he retired this year. In 2026, they're not going to go, oh, Phillip Rivers, he's a guarantee. In that span of time, you'll have Eli Manning get in before him.
Who's coming up next? So we can discuss that one then. So
next, we got another retirement, Eli Manning.
Yep. I would tend to agree. I like Phillip Rivers. Wow, our delay is insane. Go ahead. I'll let you finish. No, you're good. Go ahead.
Anyways, we got the next retiree on here, Eli Manning. 16 years in the league, 0 MVP, but he's memorable most for what he did in the Super Bowl. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 Super Bowl wins, 2 Super Bowl appearances. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler, 9th all-time passing, 10th all-time in passing.
He's not bad.
He ain't.
Second best Manning. 60%.
Second best Manning, but third after their freaking nephew gets in the NFL.
Well, yeah, we'll see.
All right. Like,
he's got a 60% completion with 57,000 total yards, 366 touchdowns to 244 interceptions, and an 84.1 QB rating.
well, those are solid stats if you're going to get in the Hall of Fame, but here's the thing. In never 1 year of his, he's never led the league in touchdowns or passing yards or anything of note. Mm-hmm. He's never been an MVP. One thing he has led the league in is interceptions,
which is not a good stat.
Which is not a good stat. I mean, earlier when we were talking about Fitzpatrick, I should have mentioned it. He led the league in interceptions once and never led the league in anything positive.
Which is just that's such a bad knock against him. I feel bad.
Yeah. Anyways, as for Eli Manning's candidacy, I tend to go with the camp that says he will be in the Hall of Fame because he has the numbers, he has the accolades you want if you're in the Super Bowl. Any person who can take down this 18-0 Patriots in the freaking Super Bowl gets in the Hall of Fame if they're that good.
Yeah. I think for me, Eli Manning personally anyway, will be known as the baby who didn't want to go to San Diego and Tom Brady's kryptonite. So it's a bit of a blend of good and bad.
Hey, that wasn't on him. That was on his freaking dad not wanting him to be in the AFC.
I can understand that because he didn't want to get destroyed by his older brother, but at the same time, he put up such a fuss, and it's just, I don't know. The whole situation just wasn't handled well for me, and I'm never gonna forget that. But I don't think that that's going to hamper him from going into the Hall of Fame, of course, because he did win the Super Bowls. He does have the stats to back it up. And he is the Giants. You've seen what happened to the team after he retired.
Yeah, they fell apart with quote-unquote Danny Dimes at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't mind Jones, but he's just kind of like an average QB that's just going to get you where you need to be without being anything extra. Like, especially when you don't have a good team around him. And he trips himself.
He's instant, basically.
Yeah. This next one is the one that I'm excited for.
Oh, I wonder why. I also find this funny about Eli Manning. Before we go, his win-loss as a starter is exactly 50-50.
Oh, that's amazing.
Like, he has equal amounts wins as he does losses. And that's basically where it's landed as far as his Hall of Fame candidacy.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I love that. It reminds me of Brett Favre with his interceptions to touchdown ratio. Like there was one year where he led the league in both touchdowns and interceptions at the same time, which was really strange. Or something similar to that, but
yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I'm going to do a quick plug-in because there's this YouTuber named Set the Edge. He did a fantastic video on this on Eli Manning's Hall of Fame case. It's a fantastic, well-done video, and if anybody watches this, which I hope they do, go to that video and see what you think.
Go ahead and link that to me when we're done here, and I'll make sure I pop that in the info card.
Gotcha. All right, next on this list, we got the original Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick.
I'm so happy that we decided to include him in the list. I actually always liked Michael Vick, which is weird because I'm typically a pocket passer fan, but I really like Michael Vick. I don't know why.
Oh, he pisses me off, and not for the reasons you think.
I know.
He's been in the league for 13 years. No things when it comes to MVPs or Super Bowl, but he's a 4-time Pro Bowler, and he's the career leader in rushing yards for a quarterback.
That makes sense with the stats. I did the whole rushing thing in parentheses, so this was fun. He's got a 56.2% completion rating, 22,000. Yeah, I know. 22,000 passing yards with 6,100 rushing yards, 133 passing TDs with 36 rushing TDs, and 88 interceptions with an overall rating of 80.4.
All right.
This was so much fun.
Let's the elephant in the room right now.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't serve time for 2 years for dogfighting, I think he would have continued making a case for his Hall of Fame.
Yes.
The thing is, the way it's right now, no matter how good a player you were, no matter how good of a rushing quarterback you are, you don't have the normal stats for a quarterback to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the fact that he missed all that time really, really hurt his stats.
Hold on. A 55% completion percentage, you said?
Yeah, 56.2.
Jesus, that's awful for a quarterback.
It is. But he ran a lot. So that makes sense.
I mean, if you're going to get in the Hall of Fame with Michael Vick, they're going to be leaning heavily on the fact that he was like the original dual threat quarterback for this generation.
Yeah.
Like, he revolutionized the game as far as the rushing is concerned.
Oh, yeah, and that's going to be what they have to hang his hat on. Because as a traditional quarterback, he isn't. For me, he's just a very good football player, not so much a quarterback. But what's weird is I don't think that this means that he doesn't have an arm. Because I remember key plays of him. I think he was, was it Philly that he played for before he left?
It was the Falcons and Philadelphia.
Okay. Yeah.
And he spent a year or two as backup in both the Giants and Pittsburgh.
Oh, I hate him being a backup. That's just so demeaning. But anyway, I think it was Philly. I seen him just launch it like the entire length of the field, and I believe it was a completion at that time. So he does have an arm. He just didn't use it his entire career because he was really good on the ground.
He was a run-first quarterback.
Right, which is my fear with other run-first quarterbacks of this particular class of players, current players.
Yeah. Lamar. Why I don't like quarterbacks right now. Like,
yeah,
I don't like Lamar Jackson because people who tend to rush, like a quarterback, the ones that tend to rush first are the ones that end up getting hurt the most.
Yeah. Which, and I'll say that for Vick at least, he took risks, he put his body on the line, and he didn't end up an RG3, right? He actually maintained his career until the unfortunate occurred. But, you know, he was durable for being so mobile.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, I would put him in, but I don't think he has the stats to back it up. But I think that being a sort of pioneer of that style, I think that might give him a slight advantage depending on the class that he's in to go in.
Valid point. All right. It's funny that we're leaving off the rushing quarterback when we're actually going to the actual class that should be doing that.
It's almost like you planned it.
I didn't actually. That was by complete accident.
You should have taken the credit. You should have taken the credit.
I'm not taking credit for shit I didn't do.
Valid, I respect that.
Like, spacing it up, like, okay, the list usually goes from quarterback to running back to fullback to wide receiver to tight end. Like,
yeah,
I was like, oh, like that kind of list.
But the fact that we just kind of slapped Vick on the bottom of it kind of worked appropriately.